Welcome back to the Library Choice YouTube channel. In today's class, we're going to learn how to make this beautiful dartless, transparent, double cupped corset. As you can see here, I made a tutorial on how to make the cup, and you all asked that I make a corset with it. So this is the tutorial. It's a very simple tutorial. I'm going to take you through how I was able to cut and sew this to have a neat finishing both in and out. If this is something you would like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So to make this corset, I'm going to be using, I have my basic bodies here already, as you can see, and then I'm going to use this cup that I already made to draft the corset. Okay, so the tutorial on how I was able to achieve this cup is already uploaded on the channel. So these are the two cups we are going to be using for this. You guys requested that I make a tutorial using the cups, so that's why I am filming this. So this is my armhole line, this is my bust point, this is my under bust, my waistline, and this is the full length of the corset blouse. So basically, because we are using the cup to draft it, it's pretty easy to do. What I just need to do is to place, of course, the bust ends on the under bust area. So just to place my cup exactly how I want it to be, and then I'm going to draw it out. So that's all I need to do. It's a transparent corset, so there's really nothing so much to it. So the first thing you need to note is how deep you want the corset to be. That's the depth of your corset. I want this really deep, but not too deep at the same time. So my bust point is around 10.5 inches. So I just go a little below my bust point, maybe 10, add half an inch or 1 inch to that. Okay, so I'm adding like 0.75. So this is the depth of my corset, and on that point I'm going to mark half an inch. So that's the gap that you're going to have between your two cups. This half an inch is going to give me 1 inch by the time I'm done. Remember, this is just one side of the front. So now that we are done with that, I know that that is where my center front is going to be. So I'm going to be placing my cup there. Okay, anyhow you want to place your cup, you can place it like this. It just means that your depth is going to be more. You can place it the way I am placing mine, like this. Just place it anyhow, how exactly you want it to be. So for my armhole area as well, I'm going to step it down a bit. This is a sleeveless corset, and that is how I want it to be. So I'm going to, from my actual armhole, I'm coming down by around half an inch, and I'm going to make that into a straight line, just a guide, so that I will know that this point is where my new armhole is. So after marking all of that, I'm going to place my cup to make this point and this point, which is my armhole. The corset stops around the armhole, and if you see this cup that we are working with very well, you can see that this part is already turned. So this part is just going to come up like that, which is part of the reason why I'm stepping it down. Okay, so it's just going to come up. So the sewing that we are doing is just from here. I've already turned the rough edges here because the tutorial I made was just on this cup and I wanted it to be neat. So the part we are sewing is just from this center up to this point. It's not going to get to this part that we have here. So those two parts is what I'm placing together now, and once I place them, I'll go ahead and mark under it like this. So you can see how simple it is. It's very simple to make. So I want to use this same fabric for the center part of my corset. So because of that, I'm going to mark like 2 to 2.5 inches here. 2 inches means we are marking 4 inches by the time we open it up. Okay, so you just need to note how you want it to be. So I think I'm going to be marking around 2 to 2.25 here, and then on the hem here I'm going to mark 1.5, just to give it a slightly slant shape, and then I'm going to connect like this. So this part I'm going to cut out. Sorry, let me change this marker. Okay, so now I have my marker. I'm just going to use it to make it bolder. So this is the line. So this line that I'm drawing, I'm going to cut this part out, and I'm going to use this fabric to cut that part, and then the corset mesh to cut the other part. Okay, so for the back is simple. I have the back bodice here. What I'm just doing to the back is to mark my neckline. So from my armhole, and you can see that I'm working with the same armhole, the step down that I did for the front. So for the armhole, I'm just going to come down by 1 or 1.5 inches or 1.25, whichever one you want to work with. And then I'm going to connect that to my side. This is the center back. So now this is the corset for the opening of the corset at the back. That's where the lacing is going to be. I'm going to mark 2 inches up here, and then down here I'm going to mark 1.5 or 1.25 inches, and I'm going to connect that part with my ruler. So that part I'm going to cut it out. Okay, so that is all I need to do. Like I said, it's very simple to make. So now I'm just going to grab my scissors and then cut this out. But before I cut it out, the hem here, I don't want the hem to be straight. So here I'm going to come up by 1 or 1.5 inches. Okay, I'm coming by 1.25 on both sides of the hem, and then I will use my curved ruler to connect it to the center front. Okay, so now you can decide to add your side seam allowance to this now, or you add this when you are cutting on your fabric. I'm just going to add half an inch seam allowance to this. That is all the seam allowance that I need for this corset. So on the sides I'm adding half an inch by this side. So now I can retrace it. You can do this on the pattern, or you do it when you are cutting on your fabric. Whichever one you want to work with is fine. Now we're going to grab our scissors and cut out this pattern. After cutting it out, we take it to our fabric and cut on the fabric as well. So here as well, you can add your seam allowance, but I'm going to add that when I'm cutting on my fabric. So I'm just cutting what I have on my pattern right now. So this is the front. Here, like I said, I'm replacing this part with the fabric we used for the cup. So I'm going to cut it out, and then I'm going to cut the rest of the pattern. So this is the same way I'm going to cut the back. For the back, it's just a single piece. So it's easier. For the back, I'm just cutting along the line that I have marked. Remember that this lacing part is not going to be part of your back, so you have to be mindful of that. And here I'm going to cut the hem as well. So I'll go ahead and cut this on my main fabric. So I've gone ahead to cut it on my fabric. So like I said, I'm cutting this with the same fabric that I used for the cup. That's the center part. And I added seam allowance because I need to join it to the rest of the front for this. So this is the front. I do not add seam allowance here again because I already added on the pattern. And this is the back. Okay, so I have a transparent corset already on the channel where I showed how to fix bonings. So I don't want this tutorial to be so long. I'm going to link that tutorial, the sewing part of that tutorial, in the description box. So if you don't understand what I'm doing, you can go ahead and check it. So basically what I'm doing now is detaching these patterns from, so that I can have my fabric. So now this is what I have for the front. So now I'm just going to go ahead and join it. So now when joining this, because of this is a corset mesh, okay, so when joining this, you're going to be joining on the right side because it's not going to have a lining. I don't know if you understand. You are not going to be sewing it to the wrong side. You are going to sew to the right side. So after sewing it to the right side, I'm going to be fixing a boning on it to conceal the rough edges. That's what I'm going to do to the other side as well. Then after that, I'm going to create like 2 or 3 boning channels here and sew my boning on it as well. For the back as well, I'm going to fix a lacing bar to this. Like I said, I have a detailed tutorial on that already, so I'm going to link it so that you can go watch it. Then after fixing my lacing bar, I'm going to insert my bonings as well before we fix the cup. So I'm going to be using a regular boning for this. This is the boning I'm working with, and I'm going to wrap the boning with this fabric. You can also use this color of fabric, but I don't want to. I just want this fabric to be on the cup area and the center front here. So that's why I'm using this fabric to wrap the boning. So I'll go ahead and wrap my bonings now, and then I'll fix it on the channels depending on how many boning you want to work with. It's totally up to you. So I'll go and do this now and bring it back to show us. Like I said, there's a detailed tutorial on how you can do all of this already, so I'm going to link it down below. So you can see I've gone ahead to sew it, and like I said, you sew it to the right side. I have piped my boning. So what I'm going to do is just to trim down the seam allowance, and then the seam allowance that I have on the right side, I'm going to cover it with my bone. So I'm just trimming it down, as you can see. So once you cut it, it will become smaller, and then you can just place your bone on it like this to cover it up. You trim it to the barest minimum because my bone is not so wide. It's like 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to place it here, and then I'll sew it on both sides. That's for this part. Then the other part of the front as well, I have also piped some boning, so I'm going to be adding them wherever it is I want it to be. So that's what I'm going to do to the front. So after adding my boning, I'll come back and then sew in my cup. You can see now that it is complete. Then for the back as well, I'm going to be creating a, okay, so for the back, I have created my lacing bar. Like I said, I have a tutorial on how to do this already. So this lacing bar is what I'm going to be placing here. So the allowance that I already have, I don't want it to be too much, so I'm going to be replacing this with some part of this. So that part that I'm going to be replacing it with, I have placed the 2 sides on each other, and then I've marked it out. Make sure to add your seam allowance. Once you have that, you're going to cut that part off, and then we're going to be sewing our lacing bar on it like this to replace it. I hope you understand that. And then for my back as well, I'm going to be adding a bone here. You can add as many as you want. So I'll go and do all of this now, bring it back to show us what we have. Okay, so you can see I have added boning channels. I have added my boning to them now. This is the right side and this is the wrong side. You can see that it's both neat in and out. So I'll go ahead and iron it. This is the front and these are the two back pieces. I also added bonings to them as well. So this is what they look like as well. You can see my lacing bar is also attached. So now the next thing is to fix the cups. So it depends on you. You can decide to add the side first so that you can add your bonings to the side as well. Remember, when you are sewing the side also, you are going to be sewing it to the right, not to the wrong side. You sew it to the right side like this, so that by the time you are done sewing, you will trim it down just like we did for this one, and then you're going to place your boning to conceal the rough edges for the two sides. So after doing that, now the reason why I want to add this first before sewing my cup is because I want to turn this upper part before sewing in my cups. If you look at this part very well, this center part, this fabric was doubled, so I folded it. So you will see that this part is already neat. But if this part is not neat for you, maybe you did not double your fabric, you also need to turn it before sewing in your cup. But I don't need to turn the center because it is already neat. So this other part, that's the upper part here and here, I'll sew the back and front together, and then I'll cover with my boning before sewing in my cup. So it's easy. All you just need to do is to place your cups at those spaces that we have provided for them, and then you're going to sew them in just like this. I hope you can understand that. So now I'll go ahead and join the sides. Then I'm going to cut a piece of my fabric, of this same fabric, to hem it on the upper part before sewing in the bra cups. So you can see now that I have sewn the side, and like I said, you're going to sew it to the right side so that you can cover with your boning, so that it can be neat like this on the wrong side as well. You want it to be neat. So after that, I went ahead to hem it here, and then I fixed my bra cups, and I hemmed it on the lower part as well. Then you fix your eyelets on the lacing bar for the two sides. So this is what we have. So now remember that for my cup, it's a ready-made cup that I have made earlier, and I have finished the rough edges of the cup. That's why it's looking this neat. So the only rough edge you can have now is just this tiny one on the main bodies of the corset. It's not noticeable because it's very small, and this is a transparent fabric. So now for me, what I'm going to do is just to top stitch on this like this. So once I top stitch on it, the rough edge will be completely concealed inside this. You can even reduce it before you top stitch. So I'm going to top stitch on it like this with the seam allowance of the bra cup that we have covered neatly here. So once you top stitch on it, you can even, if you want to use a bra wire, you can pass it through the channel that you are going to have by the time you top stitch. So here you can either top stitch on it or leave it as it is, because it's not looking bad as it is now, as you can see. So you can see what we have now. So I'm going to take it to the mannequin now so that we can see what it looks like. So this is what it looks like on the mannequin. You can see how lovely this is looking. So this does not have a yoke actually, but you can also drape a yoke on it if you want. If you like a tutorial on that as well, let me know in the comment section, and I'm going to film a tutorial on how you can drape a yoke on it. But for now, this is what her corset is looking like. You can see how beautiful this is looking. Make sure you sew it and iron properly so that it can lay well for you, and you can see what it's looking like on the inside as well. So if you follow this tutorial very well, you're going to achieve something like this, neat both in and out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.